Yeah, summer with all these events is kind of slow and all the issues that people sometimes are concerned about. Can you tell us why it is a slow season, especially within summer?
Yeah, one of the things why it's slower for news, and this is a very interesting situation how the news cycle works in the summer, is there's not the institutional news in the same way. The legislature's shut down,
Yeah.
the universities are shut down, the parliament is shut down. City Hall, they generally don't have City Hall meetings in August unless there's some sort of emergency.
Okay.
So the municipal halls, the courts have a very small contingent of judges working for emergency applications, but by and large, you're not getting the court decisions. So the types of places where the media generally go for news stories, they've dried up. And so then what happens with the news in August is sometimes you see other areas emerge that generally don't get as much coverage in the other parts of the year. So one of the issues I've noticed is you can see more labor news and strikes. And one of the things is sometimes the workers and the unions know that the members are more willing to go picketing in the sun than in the rain. So I think we're going to be seeing in August, unless this situation with the teachers is resolved, that more actions involving the teachers, and then that will get some coverage. So labor disputes. Another thing that seems to happen in the summer is there's more stories I find about youth crime because the kids are out of school and sometimes they're out partying or they're drinking, and so that's another area. Another area that seems to get more coverage sometimes in the summer is immigration issues
Okay.
because that's a year-round thing, but sometimes immigration goes a bit under the radar of the mainstream media
Yeah.
during other parts of the year, but it's such an important issue on people's lives. So when you get a high-profile deportation, another story that I'll be watching for in August is fishing, because
Okay.
every year the fish come back to the Fraser River, the salmon, and it's either a good year or a bad year.
Yeah.
And if it's a good year on the fishing side, you're going to see, happy fishers, and but at the same time, there's also the Skeena River, there's the Fraser River.
Yeah.
So fishing is another one, and then the First Nations issues.
Okay.
That sometimes you can have more activism, and the young people again are out of school, so you can have demonstrations and issues of that nature. So when I get to August and I look at the news calendar, I go, okay, what's happening with First Nations issues? What's happening on the immigration file? Are we seeing any crime issues? Sometimes there are riots that happen in the summer, It's always the hot weather. There's a professor at SFU, Ihor Boyanowski, and what he's done is looked at riots historically and temperatures and drawn a correlation. Yeah.
Okay.
And so if you think of Vancouver, we had our Stanley Cup riot on June 15th,
Yeah.
2011. It was a very hot day. Our only other riot in recent past, not there was a riot in 1907, the race riots, but again, it was hot weather when the Stanley Cup riot in 1994. So he does this. So every once in a while I look at it, and when there's, in Kelowna or anywhere else in BC where there's some problems or altercations between crowds and police, I always wonder, is it temperature related? It may not be, but this is the theory of Ihor Boyanowski.
Okay, and speaking of temperature in summer, it is very hot. Is there something that people need to be aware of, whether they're going to the beach or they're just generally having fun in the summer?
Yes, I think the Vancouver Coastal Health Authority and Fraser Health are very concerned about, the coliform counts, they call it the pollution counts in the water for swimming. So certain locations traditionally, like Trout Lake is one that has traditionally had very high counts of coliform. So there's warnings about swimming, and those things pop up sometimes in the month of August. So what I would suggest, if you're going swimming with your family, you can actually go to the Vancouver Coastal Health Authority website or the Fraser Health website. Fraser Health is from Burnaby going east, so it's Burnaby, New Westminster, Surrey, Coquitlam, all of that area, all the way to Abbotsford and then to Hope. And then Vancouver Coastal is Richmond, Vancouver, North Shore, and then going up the Sunshine Coast, Powell River. So you can go to these websites and they will actually say the beach counts. The other thing they do, which I quite like, is they also tell you which restaurants have been shut down for health reasons.
Oh, okay, that's
So
important to know.
it is actually,
Yeah.
you know, you can go there and you can
Yeah.
actually look if you're going out to eat and see, well, which places have had suspensions.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you maybe, it's a big concern for a lot of people.
Of course, for sure, yeah. And are there any other things that people need to be aware of during the summer, like risks or danger that might happen or often happens in the summer?
One of the things I think health people are also concerned about is there's a lot of barbecue and you're cooking meat out, and the one thing that sometimes happens if undercooked meat and with the E. coli and you know, contamination, that it's I think that's something. I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to act like I'm Mr. Physician, but I know from a news perspective, I've seen that can sometimes pop up as an issue. And it's something to be concerned about. One of the things we've experienced in July is some pretty intense heat. And I was quite surprised actually, on a very hot weekend in July, we had a warning from the two health authorities, Vancouver Coastal and Fraser Health, and I was putting this up on our website, about the risk of heat, you know, the impact that heat can have, and it can be fatal. But they were saying, the medical health officers, that you should be drinking fluids on super hot days, even before you're thirsty. And if you're engaged in any activity, you should be drinking 4 drinks in an hour. So beware of the heat and take it seriously.
Okay, thank you for your advice on the events as well as what we need to be aware of in the summer. And please check out the Georgia Strait website for more information on events and what is going on in August. Thank you for joining us, Charlie, and see you guys next week.
感谢收看今天的大温故事，我们下期再见。